Recently, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM, released statistics for the recently concluded exams. Unfortunately, out of the 1.9 million candidates who registered, 1.5 million scored below 200. This poor performance has generated significant reactions, with many viewing it as a wake-up call for those in charge of education in the country. Tonight on Saturday Discourse, we will focus on the issue. We will also be joined by our guest, an educationist, who will be discussing these issues with us in the studio. I am Abdullah Heja. To join us again after this time out. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, let's begin with the day's news. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the nation's capital is gradually becoming a world-class city as obtainable in other climes. The minister stated this during the inspection of the ongoing renovation of the International Conference Center, Abuja, and other projects within the city. Onozi Yakubu reports.
The ongoing renovation works at the International Conference Center have reached advanced stages of completion. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike commends the contracting firm for a job well done as it works toward delivering on schedule.
And they have assured that they will hand it over. I have no doubt about their capacity. I have no doubts about their capability. In fact, it's one of the companies I respect. Anywhere they are working, you know that there's presence of the contractor. They have the equipment, they have everything, even though they are very expensive. But in my local parlance, we say soup, we sweet, na money killer. So I commend them, and we'll continue to work together. We'll continue to partner with them for the interest of the residents of Abuja. This is really the hope agenda come true.
The minister shares insight from his recent trip to China, describing it as a critical step towards solving the long-standing water supply issues in the FCT's satellite towns.
Part of our inauguration this second year is the Abuja city water supply. Part of it will be done along the airport road. But having done that, what about the satellite towns? And Mr. President said, look, we must also provide water within the satellite towns. So they are starting with Buhari, Kauru, and part of Kubwa.
The inspection tour of projects by the minister is ahead of the planned inauguration this May to mark the second anniversary of President Tinubu's administration. Onozi Yakubu, NTA News.
Wise Network Foundation, saddled with the responsibilities of equipping youth and empowering them, as well as women, is not relenting in bridging the gap in the tech space. Recently, the organization trained 50 women and girls from across North Central States on financial literacy and entrepreneurship with practical projects. Serafina Okonomekwe tells us more.
Talking and lighting the path for other women in what we do. Wise Tech Titans is not limited to only women, but this cohort empowered 50 women.
The drive of being financially independent, these like minds in the past 8 weeks have been trained virtually on product management, solution development managers in the tech ecosystem, and in leadership skills. And
tech skill is one of the entrepreneurship skills that we're committed to doing. We do this in underserved community with through groups, clusters. We know that the community, the resources, and effort of support that comes with group learning in whatever way, either as an SME or as a tech titan or as an environmental entrepreneur, having a common group of people who helps you to push forward and be able to do better.
The guest and group managing director of Charms Holdco PLC, developers of BVN NIM, and SIM registration. Mayowa Olaniyo says such platforms have provided solution development and project management, reduced financial fraud, thus charged the first set of beneficiaries of graduates on tech space to go all out and be change makers of their respective communities.
Training people at different cohorts in ICT, and we absorb them into the company, means we employ them, we give them the opportunity to thrive, and some actually leave after the training. It's a way of giving back to the society.
Participants say with the ever-evolving trends in the tech space, tech skills are necessary to stay relevant.
Very big thank you to the WISE Network Titan for bringing we, the core members, here today to actually see them and actually learn from them.
With what I witnessed today, I must say that they are doing a really good job.
I told myself in 2025 that I'm going to upskill. And when the opportunity came, I just said, this is a great opportunity for me to really upskill. Product management is basically solving problems, and venturing into this is going to open a lot of opportunities.
The continuous monitoring and training program by the foundation aims at giving women financial literacy and inclusion and understanding how funds are managed and being able to work remotely to achieving their highest potentials as women. Serafina Okon Omekwe, NTA News.
The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has released results of 911,551 candidates who sat for the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTMA. Olainka Ojo reports that 39,834 results were withheld, while 1,426 are still under scrutiny. The reports.
Out of a total of 2,030,862 candidates that registered for the 2025 UTME, more than 1.9 million were successfully verified and sat for the examination. However, 71,705 candidates were absent and 2,157 had their fingerprints rejected.
Statistics from the 2025 UTME indicates a significant reduction in cases of examination malpractices. The various innovative measures introduced by the board are proving effective.
According to JAMB, 4,756 candidates scored 320 and above, while 24.9% scored between 140 and 159. And a total of 2,031 candidates scored below 100. Regarding underage applicants, JAMB disclosed that 41,027 candidates fell into this category. However, 467 met the benchmark score required for exceptional candidates. Responding to cases of examination malpractice, such as WhatsApp runs, attempted substitution of self by candidates, double NIN registration, among others, the board reports that 21 states were flagged for infractions, with Anambra State topping the list.
We will not allow people. We will make sure that we, working with NIMSI and other agencies, ensure that we block this type of loopholes.
In its commitment to uphold the integrity of CBT process, JAMB announced the delisting of 4 CBT centers due to substandard performance and fraudulent practices, while 3 others have been blacklisted over technical deficiencies. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Alarming figures out there, I must say, and from there we come back to the studio where Dr. Philip John Hayab, an educationist, is joining us live on the Discourse. Doctor, you're welcome to Saturday Discourse.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, well, we both watched that clips there, yes. And I think the result has been out there for all Nigerians and all of us to, see. Does this signal any worry? Does it call for any concern from an educationist like you?
Yes, there's a huge concern because if 1.9 million students write an exams and 1.5 million fail, that is a colossal failure. In fact, the statistics that I saw from JAM portal shows that 75% is the failure. Now, 75% is an A, and that is a failure. It is a huge matter of concern, and all education stakeholders must sit together and review what are these issues that are possibly the reasons that we have come to this stage. It is unfortunate, and it is troubling, at least to those of us who are working in the education subsector. We know that this is a massive failure, which shouldn't have been.
Okay, well, still on the matter, which I think a lot of people have come out to react, and I call it lamentation. So what do you think is responsible? If we must look for solution, then we have to understand what is actually responsible for such.
I would say that one of the major problems, at least for exams in Nigeria, has been this idea of learners depending on exam malpractice, supported by their parents, and even some of these CBT centers that JAM has given the leeway to carry out these exams. People make a lot of money with cheating, and therefore, as we try to curb cheating, people who try to cheat continue to try to create new ways. It does seem that this year they couldn't get through, because if they had gotten through, I don't see how 1.5 million would have failed. So one of the problems is that has to do with the maybe the laziness on the part of the students, and then also the fact that some educational institutions, secondary schools, would want to be magic center, which is very good that they are not able to become magic centers. So everybody will need to sit up so that we can change the story.
Well, I think this point corroborates what the Honorable Minister of Education says. Probably, such, is attributed to JAM, making this system more stringent, to curb exam malpractice, which I think is the way to go.
It is,
and I think also a yardstick to judge whether education, is standardized or not. Let's quickly look at the issue of probably whether you think, in your own opinion, the questions were too hard or difficult for the candidates.
I would say no for the candidates that read. Incidentally, my daughter also sat for JAM, and I was there with her. When she finished the exams, I asked her, how was it? She said she was sure she did well in English, she was sure she did some good in literature, but for government and CRS, she wasn't sure. And when the results came, that was what I saw. So it means that she studied, and there are so many other children like that who studied. If 400,000 would pass from 200 to 300, those who did not pass, the 1.5 million, are the ones we need to find out what happened to them.
Okay.
There is a likelihood that they were relaxed, thinking that they will find their way around it. Professor Ishaq was talking about some students who have double term printing, because when they go to register, then they bring 3 people to double term print in the event where one comes, and so as we are moving towards the future, some people want us to remain in the past. We cannot continue to tolerate exam malpractice, because excellence is what Nigerian education system should seek for, and that is what it should be.
For others who are also arguing on this matter, also looking at the issue from the two sides of the coin. In as much as, yes, we try to curb exam malpractice, the system is trying to, purge itself.
Yes.
Others are quick to say, probably the exam center, the CBT centers, the computer, the internet, could also be an factor.
Well, to a large extent, I can say that is not a possibility. What I will suggest is that JAM can actually do a survey with these students so that they tell them what their experiences were. So if they open up a portal and they share it with the schools, I'm nearly sure that they will get students or candidates in this context, since some are writing from home, that will say these were the challenges they had. I think one of the problems that we have in this country is when there is a problem, we don't used to carry out research to have what I will call valid report or valid outcome, so that this valid outcome will inform the decisions that we'll take next. So if we have computer or CBT centers that the internet wasn't working well, then the recommendations would be that JAM should change these CBT centers and tech CBC centers where the internet was very good.
Now, moving forward, I think this points to the fact that it's a shared blame, if you ask me. So how can we begin to retrace, beyond just leaving, the challenge at the doorstep of JAMB, how can we retrace, probably back to the secondary that you mentioned earlier, that the teaching should be improved?
Yes, I would say that one of the biggest problems in my teaching career, I started as a teacher at the infamous Bethel Baptist High School, where children were taken, and then I moved to the Kaduna State College of Education, where I worked for 16 years before I left. What actually I have seen is that we keep compromising our standards. So student teachers that we bring, for instance, now in JAM, when the cutoff mark will be coming out, you'll be shocked that those who score 100 will be said to go to the colleges of education. It is the person who scores 400 that should go to the college of education, because this person is a teacher, is going to lead other people, children, to make a future. Then you bring out the worst. No, anybody with 100 should not go to any college of education, because automatically you can make a teacher out of them. A teacher will have to be someone that is
the best among the best.
Among the best. We say, show me an expert, and then we talk about the person who trained them. So one of the basic problems we've got is that teacher professionalism in Nigeria has not been paid enough attention. Okay. And those who are qualified to teach, because of the lack of incentives in teaching, they like to move. Like me, I had to move for a while because I wasn't getting what
you're on sabbatical.
Yes, and so I'm on sabbatical, but I hope to get back to the classroom very soon.
All right, let's also look at, would you also agree that probably distractions around, I listened to one of the students, candidates who was talking about distractions for young or the youths today, where they have to also survive, hustle, the internet, a lot of things to grapple with on their way.
I believe that the internet should be an advantage to the young. The problem is that they are not able to plan or manage their times very well. Parents also need to support their children. I've been involved in literacy, foundational literacy in Nigeria, across the north and some other states. And what I say is that a child should not watch TV throughout the day. During the weekend, the child should watch TV maybe an hour, and then they should go and read a book, and then later. But now we tend to even allow the television to be the father and the mother in the house. So we as parents have a responsibility to teach these children how not to use the technology. But technology can actually be an advantage when it is applied properly. So learners, people who are struggling to go to the university, they should understand that no food for lazy man.
Before we let you go, Doctor, what instructive message would you be, leaving out there to our viewers and probably our younger ones who we feel should do better and, take over, the country tomorrow?
I would say that you need to work hard. Working hard doesn't kill anybody. In most cases, you would survive it, and there would be a benefit to come in years, or to benefit in years to come. I went to school in a typical village that was inaccessible. But because I was committed and I had this dream that one day I'll go somewhere, even if I've not gone very far, at least I'm on the NTA. So they should work hard, work hard, work hard. Nothing will substitute hard working. Hard work is the best form of building your future, more so that you cannot school for your parents. My parents send me to school, but they are all dead now. Whatever I get, I'm the one who spends it. So you are schooling for yourself, and therefore you need to take your education very seriously.
And advice for government too.
The government needs to set up. What I am worried about is that 400,000 students or candidates who pass JAMB 200 up might not even gain admission to the universities available in the country. I'm sure ABU used to have the highest number of intake, and it's not more than 50,000. Now, 50,000 and you're talking about 400,000. How many universities are we going to take? So some people say we are having mushrooms in universities, but I believe government universities, we need more of government universities so that these teeming youths who write JAM would be able to make it to the university instead of staying at home and then it becomes adverse to them.
We must thank you sincerely, Dr. Philip John, Hayab Educationist, for coming to share your thoughts with us on Saturday Discourse, and we've learned a lot, and we hope that things get better and we'll be scoring better marks in our subsequent exams, not only JAM, WAEC, NICO, and the likes. Thank you very much once more.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, let's move on now. Let's go to Weekly News Wrap, where Rabiat Shaib is standing by.
Welcome to the Weekly News Wrap, the segment that highlights some of the major news stories that made the headlines this week. I am Rabiat Shaib. Earlier in the week, students across the Federal Capital Territory showcased their creativity at the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Challenge organized by the FCT Education Secretariat in partnership with Brunel University in London. The competition is designed to spark innovation and encourage entrepreneurship among young Nigerians, promoting problem-solving skills and sustainable ideas for the future. Similarly, public health efforts in the FCT received a boost as the Health and Environment Services Secretariat took delivery of 8 utility vehicles donated by the World Health Organization. The vehicles will enhance disease surveillance and emergency response across the territory. Stakeholders emphasized the importance of a robust monitoring system in combating emerging and re-emerging health threats. During the course of the week, over 300 residents of Ushafa community in Buhari Area Council benefited from the second edition of Federal Road Safety Corps Medical Outreach. The initiative, led by the FCT Command, is part of efforts to promote community health and safety through free medical services. Also this week, the Nigerian Television NTA received an award of excellence from the National Association of Nigerian Students for its outstanding storytelling and commitment to amplifying youth voices. The award was presented during a leadership and gender-based summit in Abuja, reaffirming the role of media in youth development and nation building. In commemoration of World Red Cross Day, attention was drawn to the impact of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement in Nigeria. Their humanitarian efforts, particularly in healthcare and emergency response within the Federal Capital Territory, continue to receive global and local recognition for their life-saving contributions. These are some of the news stories that made it to the headlines this week. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Thank you, Rabiat. Now it's time to go on sports.
Nigeria won't compete in the World Relays due to visa denials by the Chinese embassy attributed to its hard policies against the USA. 7 US-based Nigerian athletes were affected, while home-based teammates received visa despite both applications being submitted weeks ago. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria (AFN) has petitioned World Athletics for qualification exemption, citing administrative failure. Meanwhile, Inter Milan and Paris Saint-Germain have qualified for the Champions League final. PSG beat Arsenal 2-1, 3-1 aggregate, with Ousmane Dembele scoring the decisive goal in the first leg. Inter Milan came back from a 3-2 deficit against Barcelona to win 4-3 in the second leg after extra time, with David Fratesi scoring the winning goal. Finally, Delta State government has dissolved Delta Queens Football Club's management board, technical crew, and playing squad due to poor performance, seeking to revitalize the club's declining fortunes in the Nigerian Women Football League. A new setup will be constituted to rejuvenate the club, which boasts multiple domestic titles and has served a talent pipeline for the national team. With Sports Brief, Wayne Dogo, NTA News.
All right, before we go, let's tell you that Aston Villa currently leads AFC Bournemouth in the in the English Premier League match ongoing. Earlier, Fulham lost 3-1 at home to Everton. Ipswich Town also at home lost 1-0 to Brentford. Southampton, held Manchester City to a goalless draw. Wolves also lost 2-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion. On that note, we want to thank you for joining us on Saturday Discourse. Let's do it again.